Fox News reporting that the Lochner family's taken down their kid's shrine to the occult, had a skull. It was really a weird thing. The police are banning all media from the street and from his parents' house, which, understandable, but there have been pictures taken. You can see it in certain places on the internet, pictures of the shrine. There's a skull back there. There's really weird occult stuff. Also, there's a friend of Lochner's who's finally spoken out at Mother Jones, who said that he had a real animus toward Gabrielle Giffords, that he went to a number of her public appearances, asked her questions, was not satisfied with her answers, thought that she was not respecting him and so forth. And this is somebody who knew the kid. People in school where he went were afraid to show up. They sat next to doors because they feared he'd bring a gun and start wiping everybody out. This sheriff out there, Sheriff Dupnik, you know, this guy, he's got to be very careful. If I were him, I wouldn't say another word about this. The Lochner family has just hired the Unabomber attorney to defend their son, which everybody has to have an attorney, no big deal there. But this sheriff is out saying that everybody but the kid's responsible for this. This sheriff is creating a defense for this kid in which his attorneys can say, well, even law enforcement authorities here in Pima County are blaming talk radio and Fox News and Sarah Palin. Well, where's the evidence? Well, there's no evidence. He's in law enforcement. I'll tell you what. I'm wildly speculating here, but this kid sounds like he was well known as an unstable, dangerous element in the neighborhood and at school and so forth around town. If this kid... If there are any reports in this sheriff's office, like if people have phoned in, made phone calls, hey, we're worried about this kid, he's running around threatening here. If this kid's running, if he's made death threats to anybody, if there's a file in this sheriff's office about this guy's behavior, if there is, then the onus is going to be on this sheriff and the rest of the liberal safety net. Where is all the stuff in place to stop this? We spend trillions of dollars on a safety net designed to help just this kind of deranged person and to make sure they don't pose a threat to anybody in their immediate orbit. Where was local law enforcement? It might well be that this sheriff is out trying to dump on everybody else to absolve himself in his own office. Who knows? But if I were the sheriff, I would be very careful here because he's constructing defense scenarios for this for the kid and the legal team that might not bode well. And he admitted to Megyn Kelly on Fox yesterday afternoon he's got no evidence for what he's saying. And they asked him, you want to back down for it? Oh, no, I'm not to back down. Everybody knows political discourse, too vitriolic. We got to get back to people getting along. He wants to try to tell everybody he's nonpartisan. Just typical. Washington Post headline, after shootings, Obama must find not only right words, but right time to say them. That means they're busy with the teleprompter, even as we speak, and the optics. In the aftermath of the Arizona shootings, President Obama canceled his travel plans, called for a national moment of silence, which brought some media to tears this morning. By the way, there was a presidential moment of silence, steps of the Capitol. Members of Congress and their staff gathered, moment of silence, and a couple members of the media were so moved by the nothingness that they cried at how well Obama did silence. I'm not making it up. The media started crying at how effective Obama was at moments of silence. After an event so inexplicable, it's not inexplicable. It is very explicable. It's not inexplicable. By the way, who is writing this? Ann Kornblut. Ann, I thought you guys had the answer. I thought it was Sarah Palin. I thought it was the Tea Party. Fox News, me. Now it's inexplicable? After an event so inexplicable and at the same time so politically polarizing. Politically polarizing? Who politicized this, Miss Kornblut? You did. Do you expect people who have nothing to do with this, who are accused of inspiring it, to sit around and turn themselves in? What do you expect? Liberals and conservatives assuming their assigned battle stations over whether guns and partisan rhetoric are to blame. No, that's not even correct what's going on here either. What larger message amongst all of this should the president send? As John Dickerson of Slate notes, it'd be difficult for some Americans to see Obama as anything other than a Democrat, a partisan, in other words, if he delivered a speech on the importance of civility. Although there may be powerful reasons for him to try, he was, after all, the candidate who tapped into a collective hunger to end partisan rancor and who confronted the seemingly thornier issue of race. Can we say he failed at both? And many other things he failed at. The question, writes Ms. Kornblut, is whether this is the moment that calls for such a speech. Well, according to Mark Penn and others, it is the moment. This is the moment the Democrats have been waiting for. Go for it. This is the time to bring the country together for the Democrats again. That's what this event's all about, isn't it? It's what Mark Penn was saying last November. It's what the Democrats wrung their hands over after 9/11. Oh, damn it, why couldn't this have happened when Clinton was president? Why does Bush get this chance at greatness? These are sick people. And now they're out there trying to fantasize over how Obama can do this and how he should do it, what he should do, when he should do it, in order to make it a winner for the Democrats. As of last week, Obama seemed to just be turning a corner politically. So here's a story proving exactly one of my points in the previous hour. Here's a story about the attempted murder of an Arizona congresswoman, successful murder of a federal judge, the wounding of others. Others died here, and a story in all this about the political opportunity it presents Obama and the Democrats. Is that not sick? Right there from state-controlled Washington Post. As of last week, Obama seemed to be turning a corner politically, but it's hard to imagine the White House hunkering down and doing nothing else in the wake of the Tucson rampage. In the first hours after the shootings, before many details were known, Obama spoke to the nation from the state dining room to herald Gifford's strength and to deplore the violence. The president might also decide to add the shootings to the themes woven into the State of the Union address he is scheduled to give on January 25th. Advisors are weighing that and the options of a separate speech. Political calculations. Not to quell the country, not to calm the country down, not to reassure the... No. How can Obama turn this into his own political winner? That, I submit, is sick. Audio sound bites. Let's continue. We're up to number 16. Dick Durbin, Sunday morning on CNN, was asked by Candy Crowley, when did you hear about this incident? What do you make of it?
We live in a world of violent images and violent words, but those of us in public life and the journalists who cover us should be thoughtful in response to this and try to bring down the rhetoric, which I'm afraid has become pervasive in our discussion of political issues. The phrase, don't retreat, reload, putting crosshairs on congressional districts as targets. These sorts of things, I think, invite the kind of toxic rhetoric that can lead unstable people to believe this is an acceptable response.
No evidence. No evidence. This guy's been targeting Gabrielle Gifford since before anybody ever heard of Sarah Palin. There's no evidence this guy ever saw her lame website with these lame crosshairs, which, by the way, have been a part of political campaign theater for I don't know how long. Let's go back, shall we? Let's see, one more Dick Durbin on Sunday morning on CNN. She says, Senator Durbin, when you talk about putting those that you want to defeat in crosshairs sort of graphically, on the internet, you're talking about Sarah Palin here. And I guess the undertow, certainly it's not an undertow on the internet, but the undertow with politicians now speaking publicly as well. The Republicans and the Tea Party had Sarah Palin have gone way too far in their rhetoric. It's been violent rhetoric, and therefore this sort of thing happens. Are you making that direct connection?
We have an obligation, those of us in public life and those who cover us, to say this is beyond the bounds. It may be constitutionally permissible, but it shouldn't be acceptable rhetoric. We shouldn't invite it on the radio talk shows or the TV, at least without comment. We ought to say that just goes too far.
You mean like this on the floor of the U.S. Senate?
We hear so many loud and angry voices in America today.
My mistake. Grab number 18. Grab number 18. I forgot till I told Mike to stop at 17. I got it off by one. This is what Senator Durbin said on the floor of the Senate, June 10th of 2005.
If I read this to you and didn't tell you that it was an FBI agent describing what Americans had done to prisoners in their control, you would most certainly believe this must have happened by Nazis, Soviets in their gulags, or some mad regime, Pol Pot or others, that had no concern for human beings. Sadly, that's not the case. This was the action of Americans in treatment of their own prisoners.
So that's Senator Durbin talking about American military personnel on the floor of the Senate. Nazis, Soviets, their gulags, some mad regime, Pol Pot or others, no concern for human beings. The Senator Durbin nevertheless sees fit to lecture us about inflamed, unacceptable, beyond the bounds rhetoric.